Minor Ultra Adventures. The game store page has nothing meaningful on it except for the game comparing itself to Super Mario 64. But trust me, if Super Mario 64 was anything like this dookie, that fat bastard would be rotting in the same grave as Bubsy 3D right now. The dev also likes to take truncated, wildly out-of-context quotes from YouTubers and present them as praise of the game, so I need to be careful with this script, he said as if he were relevant enough to cite. The game sometimes fails to launch, there's no way to exit the credits or control screens without closing the entire game, and even when you try to start the game, it just sits there frozen to where you wonder if it crashed. Without any hint of story or background information, the game starts. Why yes, that is the opening theme from Gilligan's Island playing over the game, without lyrics and played on an endless loop. I couldn't make that up if I tried. Why Gilligan's Island? It doesn't match the game at all, and it's annoying listening to the song constantly ending and then starting up again. Oh sweet crap, where do I start with this game? The camera is atrocious. You can't control the camera at all, and it doesn't point straight ahead of you. It's locked into position pointing about 30 degrees to your left, and it follows you around in this off-kilter position. You can barely see where you're going, you can't see where you're jumping, and it's damn near impossible to line up jumps. You can never tell if you're pointed towards the platform you want to jump to, and you can never see platforms to steer yourself towards them in the air, so every single jump in the game revolves around a ton of guesswork. You make a platforming game where 100% of the content revolves around making precise jumps to cross tricky terrain, and you intentionally rig the camera so you can barely see what you're doing? What the hell? If you're on any kind of moving platform, the camera's liable to swerve it to an overhead view so you can't see anything or even turn to where it's looking backwards at you. The camera just does whatever the hell it wants, and you're at the game's mercy for the game to be even slightly playable. On top of all that, the game uses tank controls to where left and right turn you in place, and forward moves the character in the direction he's facing, so it's not just the camera, all of the controls are skewed about 30 degrees too. This game wants to compare itself to Super Mario 64, and that game has tons of problems with its camera as well, but Mario 64 was one of the first 3D platformers. They were still experimenting to figure out how to make these games work, and even in Mario 64, the camera manages to point straight most of the time. Games like Shadows of the Empire and Donkey Kong 64 had perfected the formula before the console generation was even over. There is no reason to still be screwing this up, yet here we are in 2017 with this putrid anal bag hopelessly wrecking a formula that everyone learned to get right consistently over a decade ago! Almost every jump in the game needs to be made using a double jump, but the double jump only works when it feels like it. You can do a single jump just fine, but you can mash the jump button all you want. A double jump will only actually work if the game feels like it. The best way to get the double jump to work is to hold the jump button rather than pressing it twice for 2 jumps, but even then, the point at which the second jump occurs is completely random. The second jump can trigger at any point after you leave the ground, or both jumps can even go off at the same time, so you just rock it into the air unexpectedly. And if you collide with any object, if your body or even your invisible cloud of BO just barely grazes any surface around you, the double jump doesn't work at all. So just like the camera, the jumping does whatever the hell it wants. Even if you make a jump, you slide off of every floor like every surface in the game is greased up ice. If you stand on any surface that isn't perfectly level, your character starts to slide off like every single surface in the game is iced over. The physics engine is so broken you can barely walk over hills or any sloped surfaces without moving like you're trudging through mud. And when you land from a jump, God only knows what kind of momentum the game will randomly assign to you, so even if you make a jump, most of the time you just slide right off and die anyway. Navigating levels becomes a massive headache. The mere act of moving is a pain in the ass, and you have to desperately fumble the arrow keys to try and stay onto any platform you jump to. Hell, the game's concepts of friction and physics are so broken, this moving platform here will actually try to slide out from underneath you. On top of all that, the game is full of enemies, and if any of them hit you, they send you flying backwards across the stage like you just got decked in the face by Goku. A single hit from these enemies is usually enough to send you hurtling off to your death, and if you're in a group of them, they can just punt you around like a stun-locked soccer ball. Oh, and every time you get hit, your character yells out this shrill, annoying "ay ay 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 ay!" Near as I can tell, the developer is Portuguese, Or at least that's the language that he uses to yell at everybody who criticizes the game in forums and then blame on his ex-girlfriend, so I guess it's not technically racist if you're racist against yourself. I know that I just threw a lot at you, so let's just take a moment to recap the control and engine problems. The camera never points straight, you can't see where you're going, the jumping barely works, you slide right off of every floor, and if an enemy hits you once, it often sends you flying off to your death. But oh, there's more! You only get one life. Die once, you go back to the start of the level. You better practice up on the awful controls because it'll keep sending you back to start until you can clear this entire slippery hellhole in one straight shot. This game reminds me of one of those games with anti-piracy features where if you copy or pirate a game, the game breaks itself so you can't play it. Arkham Asylum disables gliding, Donkey Kong 64 kills you in one hit. This game is so broken, it's damn near unplayable. It takes a ton of practice just to get out of the starting area. What even is this first level? There's a castle, a giant water wheel just floating out in the middle of nowhere. This kid's house is on an island barely bigger than the house itself with nothing on it. And the island doesn't even seem to fully exist. What the hell happened? It's like half the polygons in this side of the island are just missing and you can walk inside the hollow landmass. It's like the developer said, nobody's going to see this side of the island anyway. I don't need to render all of this. Yeah, the game is also glitchy as hell. I've walked through walls, the hat that you throw when you attack has gotten stuck in walls, the loading screen has gotten stuck at the top of the screen. At this point, are you even surprised? The one slight improvement this game can claim over Mario 64 is your attack is a projectile. The miner attacks by throwing his hat at enemies, and you can find power-ups that give you sonic belches or a chicken bone machine gun. Unfortunately, getting hit once drops whatever upgrade you had, and double unfortunately, the camera is skewed so you can't see where you're aiming anyway! The first level is a total nightmare of obstacles that you have to die a dozen times each to figure out. The first obstacle is this water wheel that you have to scale. You have to land a jump on this moving platform with absolutely no clue how to line up the jump or steer yourself in midair. Shit. Oh, yes, I finally made the jump. Okay. Well, there's an enemy up there. I better wait until the platform— Get screwed with a rusty pipe! That asshole came out of nowhere! Next, you have to jump off a spring stolen out of a Sonic game and hit 2 additional springs in midair. Again, you have to steer yourself onto the springs with shit controls and only a vague idea of where the springs are so you can hit them. Get up there. Get up there! Get up there! From here, there's a fork in the road. You can go onto this spine-looking platform that's way too curved for me to risk it, or you can jump along these platforms and slide down a bridge. The bridge looks flat, but no, you slide right off the sides unless you're lined up perfectly, with absolutely no idea of knowing what constitutes lined up perfectly. Plus, the weapon pickup tends to knock you off, and the bridge just seems to throw you off once you hit the bottom. You have to know to jump for it once you hit the bottom of the bridge. Then you go into the castle. These steps to the right, hell no, you can't climb on them. What are you, stupid? You slide right off of them even if you try. But this much steeper slope over here, that you can walk over. What, you couldn't tell the difference? You go through the castle, the double jump keeps failing trying to get up these stairs, when all of a sudden fireballs start raining down on you from off screen that are impossible to dodge. You get up there, and you're face to face with a dragon that kills you in 1 or 2 hits. Your first instinct is to look for some kind of way to fight this thing, but you can't. You're supposed to ignore the dragon and duck through this side door that you couldn't know was there. Next, you have to jump across 3 rocks, a rotating platform pendulum thing, and then 4 more rocks all over insta-kill water. And they're all heavily slanted so that you slide right off of them. I just have to take my time with these jumps. I don't want to go back to the start. We'll just try again. What? You son of a bitch! The first rock doesn't sink, but all the other ones fall as soon as you step on them. You try and take your time with the jumps, and you die. That's all this game is, just one beginner's trap after another, killing you over and over until you master the shitty controls specific to each obstacle. I have to go through all the other death traps again every time I die just to get another shot at these rocks. So I have to make 8 jumps in a row, instantly, without missing a single one, falling off of every platform even if I make each jump with no chance to practice on the rocks. That's horseshit! Hell, sometimes you slide down here and it just dumps you straight into the water so you don't get a shot at the rocks to begin with. Why are the controls so stiff? Why are the physics so slippery? Why is the level designer such an asshole? Shit! shit! Yes! Yes! Mother of God, yes! Oh, you have no idea how long it took to do that. Hours stuck on the first level. I finally get to see something different. Oh, finally, different music. It sucks too. The second level is some kind of a snowboarding level. Again, the controls are ludicrously stiff and the physics are horrible. The game has no idea what to do when you cross over from one smooth polygon on the floor to the next, so your character is constantly losing all of his momentum or lurching up in the air like you keep speeding into invisible walls. I'm not touching the jump button, I swear, but he keeps hopping up on his own because the dumbass game thinks that the smooth floor is full of ramps that can be used as ramps. The sticking point is there's several spiked balls blocking the level that kill you instantly, and you have to use the actual ramps as ramps at exactly the right angle and speed to jump them. The third level is huge and makes no sense. You've got a pyramid to the left, a huge statue, and a skeleton to the right. None of them are connected into any kind of path, and you aren't given any clue of where you're supposed to go. The level layout is so random you aren't given any remote clue of what to do. Plus, new enemies spawn into the level constantly, and the game starts chugging at 7 frames per second because it can't keep up. After wandering this level a long-ass time, I gave up and looked up a speed run on YouTube. I have no idea how you're supposed to beat the level, but it entails going underground and jumping a long-ass series of sloped rocks while dodging a dragon over lava. That sounds like a living hell, but luckily there's an alternative. Much like the island in level 1, the dev didn't think anybody would notice if he got lazy and didn't render the entire pyramid, so you jump into this huge unfinished gap in the level, you glitch through the floor, and you float to the exit. How's that for a shortcut? You glitch through a blatantly unfinished structure and it carries you to the goal. This is just ridiculous. Oh, listen real carefully. You can hear the dragon firing off a ton of fireballs trying to land a hit on me, but he can't because I'm in the ceiling. Level 4, you have to climb a beanstalk. You have to very carefully jump from one platform to the next, slowly climbing your way up the level inch by inch very carefully, or you could fly! If you just hold the jump button and jump into the beanstalk, you'll somehow start doing one infinite continuous double jump the entire way up the beanstalk. It'll carry you straight to the level exit. Holy shit! I should feel bad, but this game is such a broken down shit heap it doesn't deserve the courtesy of playing fair. You think I'm gonna spend hours practicing all these jumps to get to the top? Fat chance! The last level is this huge one-eyed alien boss. He does nothing but walk in giant circles, firing beams sorta kinda in your general direction, and you have to jump on cannons to fire at him. Luckily, there's a part of the map where he seems to get stuck on the scenery and he slows down enough to consistently hit. So once again, a game flaw breaks my way. And of course, there's no ending. It just immediately cuts to a screen of text that I can't even read. According to Google Translate, it reads, in its entirety, "You did it! Now everyone can eat at the best restaurant in the world." What in the name of living shit does that have to do with anything that's happened in the game? You're telling me I've been busting my ass, scaling waterfalls, fighting aliens, storming castles, dodging dragons, glitching through pyramids and beanstalks, and surfing down a mountain dodging spiky balls and shit, all so I could go eat at Chili's? Well, that's dumb. In conclusion, minor ultra adventures should only be purchased by those in the market for a legalized torture device. It is a most efficient means of punishing a person with horrible looping music, abysmal controls, and laws of physics that rewrite themselves specifically to piss off its player. In other words, it sucks. And you can quote me on that.